All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're talking about something I think we all take for granted, but it's actually crazy complicated.
Interesting. What's that?
Speaking. Like just the act of talking and having conversations.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We do it all the time, but we probably don't think much about what's actually going on in our brains and bodies. Exactly. So we're doing a deep dive into a book called How to Teach Speaking by Scott Thornbury. And before you think, oh, that's just for language teachers, trust me, this is for anyone who, has ever spoken, which is pretty much all of us.
Right. So what are we going to learn from this deep dive?
Well, we're going to break down exactly what happens when we speak, the knowledge that we need to do it, and then what happens when we try to do it all in another language. So, like, if you've ever wondered how you're able to just open your mouth and speak, or if you've struggled to learn a new language, this deep dive is for you.
Sounds fascinating. Let's get into it.
Okay, so first, let's look at what we actually do when we speak.
Okay, so Thornbury breaks it down into a few key actions. Okay, like what?
Well, first you have this thought, right? Like a concept you want to express.
Right.
So that's conceptualization. Then there's figuring out how to actually put that concept into words.
Oh, so like taking this abstract idea and turning it into language.
Exactly. That's formulation. And then finally, there's articulation, which is like the physical process of actually making the sounds.
Makes sense. So it's kind of like a three-step process.
Yeah, in a way.
Mm.
But it's not quite that simple because there's more happening at the same time.
Oh, right, because while you're speaking, you're also listening to yourself.
Hmm.
Right, making sure it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. That's self-monitoring and repair. You might catch yourself saying something wrong or realize you could phrase it better.
Oh, yeah, like when you're telling a story and realize you've forgotten a crucial detail and you have to, like, backtrack.
Haha, exactly. And then for all of this to sound natural, there needs to be a certain amount of automaticity. Like you can't be consciously thinking about every single sound you make.
Right, it would take forever.
Haha, yeah. And then there's fluency, that smooth flow of speech. And finally, in any conversation, you have to manage the talk. Like knowing when to jump in, how to take turns, all that stuff.
Oh, the unspoken rules of conversation.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's a pretty good overview, but let's break it down a bit more. Starting with conceptualization and formulation. The book has this interesting example with a woman named Kathy. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think so. It was about how she starts to say junket and then corrects herself to, but kedgeree.
Yeah, and that little correction shows how, like, her initial thought kind of evolves as she's speaking.
Yeah, and junket suggests she was thinking about, like, desserts or a general category of food.
Yeah.
But then kedgeree shows her getting more specific.
Yeah, like she was accessing her mental dictionary to find the right word.
Totally. And even that but signals a contrast. Like, oh, wait, it's not just any dessert, it's kedgeree.
Oh, that's so cool how these little words reveal what's going on in our heads.
It really is fascinating.
So then we move on to articulation. You mentioned the lungs and vocal cords. I mean, it's crazy how much our bodies do without us even realizing it.
Right. It's like a whole orchestra in there. You've got your lungs pushing air, your vocal cords vibrating, your tongue, teeth, and lips shaping the sounds. It's wild.
And you said there are like 40 different phonemes in English?
Yeah, phonemes are those basic units of sound that make up words.
Right. Okay. And fluent speakers can produce something like 15 of those per second.
Upwards of that, yeah. It's mind-blowing how fast and coordinated everything has to be.
Seriously.
Yeah.
No wonder we take speaking for granted. Okay, what about self-monitoring? Like we all have those moments where we say, or completely lose our train of thought.
Yep. That's our inner editor at work. It's constantly checking what we're saying against what we mean to say. And if it detects a mistake, it's like, hold up, gotta fix this.
I guess those pauses and corrections are actually a good sign then.
Yeah, it shows you're actively trying to communicate clearly.
Okay, that makes me feel better about all my ums and atties. Now, what about fluency? I feel like that's something people often misunderstand. They think it's just about talking super fast.
Right. But fluency is more about a natural flow and rhythm. It's knowing when to pause, how to use intonation, all that good stuff.
Yeah, because someone can talk really fast, but if they don't pause or change their tone, it can be hard to follow.
Totally. And there's this interesting research suggesting that native speakers achieve fluency by using prefabricated chunks of language, like common phrases and idioms that we don't have to construct word by word.
Oh, that makes sense. It's like having these ready-made building blocks for conversation.
Exactly. They just roll off the tongue.
So that's something to keep in mind if you're trying to become more fluent in a language. Pay attention to those chunks.
Definitely.
Okay, and then last but not least, managing talk. This is all about the social cues in a conversation, right?
Yep. It's like knowing when it's your turn to speak, how to interrupt politely,
Yeah.
how to keep the conversation flowing.
I guess that can be tricky, especially in different cultures where the rules might be different.
Oh, for sure. What's considered polite in one culture might be rude in another. So being aware of those differences is key.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about what speakers actually do. Now let's move on to the knowledge that underpins all of this. What do speakers know that enables them to speak so effortlessly?
Yeah, it's not just about moving your mouth and making sounds. There's a whole lot of background knowledge that goes into it.
Right, so how does Thornbury categorize that knowledge?
He talks about three main areas: extra-linguistic knowledge, linguistic knowledge, and speech conditions.
Okay, break those down for me.
So extra-linguistic knowledge is basically your understanding of the world, social situations, cultural context, all that stuff.
Okay, so like if you're talking about football with someone, you both need to have some basic knowledge of the sport.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're discussing a current event, you need some shared background knowledge to understand each other.
It's like having a common ground for the conversation.
Right. And the book brings back that kedgeree example here. When Kathy mentions it and Hilda responds, it works because they probably both have some idea of what kedgeree is.
Right, like maybe they both know it's a dish or have some cultural associations with it.
Exactly. But if one of them had no clue what kedgeree was, the conversation might stall.
I guess it happens a lot in cross-cultural communication, right? When people have different backgrounds and experiences.
Absolutely. And that's where sociocultural knowledge becomes crucial. It's not just about vocabulary, it's about understanding unspoken rules and expectations.
Like how direct you can be, what topics are considered appropriate, even body language.
Totally. All those things can impact how your message is received.
Okay, so extra-linguistic knowledge is like the foundation of communication. What about linguistic knowledge? That sounds like it covers a lot of ground.
It does. It's basically your mastery of the language itself. And Thornbury breaks it down into several areas.
Okay, hit me with them.
So first, there's genre knowledge. This is like understanding the different types of spoken interactions we have.
Okay, so like a casual conversation versus a formal presentation.
Exactly. Each genre has its own expected structure and purpose.
So you wouldn't use the same language when ordering a coffee as you would when giving a speech.
Haha, right. Genre knowledge helps us adapt our language to the situation.
What's next?
Then there's discourse knowledge, which is about how we put sentences and turns together to create coherent stretches of talk.
Okay, so like how we connect our ideas and make sure the conversation flows smoothly.
Exactly. Discourse markers play a big role here. Those little words like, well, oh, so. Anyway, they help us signal shifts in topic or show our attitude.
Oh yeah, like in that kedgeree example, Hilda says, I would just make egg and bacon.
Hmm.
And Kath replies, but kedgeree. That but is a discourse marker, right?
You got it. It shows Kath is offering an alternative suggestion.
Cool. It's like those little words are the glue that holds the conversation together. Okay, what else do we need to know?
Well, then there's pragmatic knowledge, which is all about how we do things with language.
Like how we use language to get things done or achieve a specific purpose.
Exactly. Like when someone says, it's cold in here, they might actually be indirectly requesting you to close the window.
Oh, so it's not just about the literal meaning of the words, but also the implied meaning.
Exactly. And pragmatic knowledge also involves understanding things like politeness strategies and register, which is how formal or informal our language is, depending on the situation.
Right, like you wouldn't talk to your boss the same way you talk to your best friend.
Haha, exactly. Now, what about grammar? Do you think spoken grammar is the same as written grammar?
That's a good question. I feel like they must be different, right? Because we speak so much more spontaneously than we write.
You're absolutely right. Spoken grammar often has its own characteristics.
Like what?
Well, for one, we tend to use shorter turns and simpler sentence structures when we speak. We also leave out words more often because the context makes the meaning clear.
Oh yeah, like that example in the book. Coffee. Thanks. Milk. Please.
Yeah, perfect example. We don't need to say, would you like some coffee? Or could I please have some milk? Because the situation makes it obvious.
And it sounds so much more natural that way.
Absolutely. Spoken language is all about efficiency and conveying meaning quickly.
And we also use a lot of like vague language when we speak, right? Like sort of, kind of, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we hesitate, we repeat ourselves, we have false starts. All those things are part of natural spoken grammar.
It's like all those little imperfections actually make us sound more human.
Exactly.
Okay, what about vocabulary? That seems pretty crucial for speaking.
Oh, absolutely. You can't speak without words.
Yeah.
But it's not just about memorizing a bunch of random words.
Right, because you need to be able to use them effectively in context.
Exactly. And there's this important distinction between receptive vocabulary and productive vocabulary.
What's the difference?
Receptive vocabulary is all the words you understand when you hear or read them. It's usually much larger than your productive vocabulary, which is the words you can actually use when you speak or write.
Oh, I see. So I might understand a lot of words, but I can't necessarily use them all in a conversation?
Exactly. And for fluent speaking, it's important to focus on building your productive vocabulary. And a key part of that is learning chunks of language.
Those prefabricated phrases we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. Collocations, phrasal verbs, idioms, they make you sound more natural and help you speak more automatically.
Cool. So it's not just about knowing individual words, but also knowing how they go together.
Precisely. And then there's the final piece of linguistic knowledge, phonology.
Which is all about pronunciation and intonation.
Right. You got it. And this is super important for being understood because even if you have perfect grammar and a huge vocabulary, if your pronunciation is off, it can be really difficult for people to understand you.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that when traveling to countries where I don't speak the language well.
Oh, for sure. And the opposite is true, too. If you have good pronunciation and intonation, even if you make some grammar mistakes, people can usually understand you.
So phonology is like the key to unlocking communication.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that was a whirlwind tour of linguistic knowledge. The last category of what speakers know is speech conditions. What are those all about?
So, speech conditions are all the factors that can impact how well we speak at any given moment.
Okay, like what?
Well, there are cognitive factors, like how familiar you are with the topic, who you're talking to, how much mental effort it takes to formulate your thoughts.
Makes sense. If you're talking about something you know well, it's probably easier to speak fluently.
Exactly. And then there are affective factors, which are all about your emotions. Like if you're feeling anxious or self-conscious, it can really affect your speech.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like public speaking can be terrifying for some people.
Absolutely. And that fear can definitely impact their fluency.
And what about performance factors?
So those are things like the mode of speaking, whether it's face-to-face, over the phone, or in a presentation, the degree of collaboration, like whether you're in a dialogue or giving a monologue, and also things like time pressure, environmental conditions, whether you've had time to prepare.
Wow, that's a lot of factors to consider.
Mm.
It's amazing how much can influence our ability to speak effectively.
It really is. And all of this becomes even more complex when we're talking about speaking in another language.
Right, because now we have to factor in all the challenges of learning a new language. So how does speaking in a second language differ from speaking in our native language?
Well, the fundamental processes are the same, but as an L2 speaker, you face additional hurdles.
Like what?
Well, fluency is often a major challenge. You might know the grammar and vocabulary, but putting it all together smoothly and spontaneously can be really tough.
Yeah, it's like your brain is working overtime to process everything.
Exactly. And there's a research suggesting that L2 learners rely more consciously on grammar rules when they speak than native speakers do, which can slow them down.
That makes sense. You're actively trying to apply the rules, whereas for a native speaker, it's more automatic.
Right. And then all those different areas of knowledge we talked about, like sociocultural knowledge, discourse knowledge, pragmatics, grammar, vocabulary, phonology, they all present unique challenges for L2 speakers.
So it's not just about learning the language, it's about learning how to use it effectively in real-time communication.
Absolutely. And that's where the concept of availability for use comes in.
What's that all about?
It's the idea that just because you've learned something doesn't mean you can easily access and use it when you need it.
Oh, like I might know a word, but I can't think of it when I'm trying to speak.
Exactly. And Thornbury talks about different perspectives on how language becomes available for use. Like the behaviorist view emphasizes practice and repetition, while the cognitivist view focuses on how we organize and restructure our knowledge. And the sociocultural view highlights the importance of interaction and using language in meaningful contexts.
So it's not enough to just study grammar rules in isolation. You need to actually practice using the language in real conversations.
Exactly.
Wow, this has been a really fascinating deep dive. It's amazing to think about all the complex processes and knowledge that go into something as seemingly simple as speaking.
It really is, and it makes you appreciate just how incredible the human brain is.
Absolutely. And I think this deep dive has given me a much better understanding of not only how I speak, but also how I learn languages.
Yeah, me too. And even though this book is about teaching speaking, I think the insights are valuable for anyone who wants to improve their communication skills, whether in their native language or a second language.
Totally. So to wrap things up, I have a final question for you and for our listeners to think about.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Considering all the things we've discussed today, what do you think is the single most crucial factor that contributes to effective and fluent speaking, whether in your first language or one you're learning?
Hmm, that's a tough one. There are so many important factors, it's hard to choose just one. But if I had to pick, I think it would be.
Oh, we'll have to leave that hanging for our listeners to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been a pleasure exploring the intricacies of speaking with you.
The pleasure was all mine. And for all of you listening, keep those conversations flowing.